Nigel Farage was pictured on Wednesday hurling boxes of fresh haddock into the Thames at the foot of the Houses of Parliament after the government gave way over fisheries in Brexit negotiations with the European Union. David Davis announced on Monday that the UK will only be able to fully reclaim its waters at the end of the transition period at the end of 2020. Gary Lineker took to Twitter to criticise the former UKIP leader, sparking a furious row, alongside an image of Nigel Farage and Fishing for Leave campaigner Aaron Brown. Mr. Lineker wrote, "Rarely have two such slimy, smelly, slippery creatures held onto some fish." Getty LBC Brexit News. Nigel Farage responded after his clash with Gary Lineker. Nigel Farage responded by claiming Mr. Lineker was in the same category as Sir Bob Geldof for not recognising the damage that has been caused to the fishing industry under the Common Fisheries Policy. Mr. Lineker responded, "No, I think you're funny. Funny how you pretend to care about the industry, yet during the 3 years that you were a member of the
European Parliament Fisheries Committee, you attended 1 out of 42 meetings."
Took one final swipe at Mr. Lineker. He said, "Gary, you can abuse me if you want to. But why do you choose to call a hard-working Scottish fisherman slimy, smelly and slippery? I don't think that is very clever." Twitter. Nigel Farage and Gary Lineker clashed online. "I don't think that is very clever." Nigel Farage speaking on the boat earlier today. Mr. Farage told Express.co.uk, "We were promised when we leave the European Union we would get back control of our borders. It was in the Tory manifesto. I queried the wording at the time, but I was assured it's all going to be good. We've now been kicked into the long grass for a further 21 months, but with absolutely no assurance at all that, even after that period, they are going to do the right thing. The real fear is that so much of this industry is going bust, not just commercial fishing, but the angling industry too, which is having to work under ridiculous EU rules. I worry that in that 21-month period, hundreds of more businessmen in the fishing game will go out of business." "No, I think you're funny. Funny how you pretend to care about the industry. Yet during the 3 years that you were a member of the European Parliament Fisheries Committee, you attended
1 out of 42 meetings."
Brown said the boat set off to protest against the death sentence transition deal. Mr. Brown told Express.co.uk, "The transition that the government is capitulating to, we will still have to obey the disastrous common fisheries policy which presents a death sentence to what's left of the UK fishing industry. It's not just 21 months that we can survive through. The European Union can implement detrimental legislation to cull what's left of the UK's fishing industry, and then that will allow them to use international law to claim the fish. Our resources would be no longer able to catch ourselves, due to the loss of our fleet, so the transition is an existential threat to the UK fishing industry, and therefore we cannot be in the CFP, or we will go back to years ago when we saw hundreds of boats taken to Denmark and torn to pieces and scrapped. That's why we are doing this demonstration today."